Welcome to On Texas Football. Time for the Saturday morning conversation. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Rod Babers and Gerry Hamilton. This episode brought to you by our friends over at Tito's Handmade Vodka and Austin Original. We'll tell you a little bit more about them in a second. But guys, news came out late yesterday night that Arch Manning is not even listed on ESPN on Friday afternoon. It sounds like Arch is going to start later today at the 11 o'clock start on ABC. Texas favored by 3.5 points. Guys, we've been talking about this game all week, but we didn't know who was going to start. Let's assume Arch Manning starts today. What are y'all thinking? What does that mean for this game and this contest, Gerry? I'll start with you, bud.
Yeah, I mean, it's no slight to either quarterback. It doesn't change much for me, and here's the reason. Because one of the things I said yesterday on the afternoon live stream at the co-op was I had a conversation driving from Hays City Store to Austin with somebody, and they said the team was really upbeat, excited, and confident coming off the Mississippi State win. It's been a while since we've heard that. So I think that tells you where the mind of this team is going into the Vanderbilt game. And I know the defense has played a lot of snaps, but nothing will make you get extra adrenaline like Diego Pavia coming to town. I just think Diego Pavia is going to bring extreme energy. I think Texas is going to bring extreme energy to this game. It's first home game in 42 days. I think the Texas crowd will bring energy. It's going to be a great day for football. It doesn't change much for me. I know with the game within the game, it changes, but I think this Texas team has playing with confidence for the first time in a while. True confidence. Oklahoma a little bit, but that still doesn't count. It showed against Kentucky. This is true confidence, the comeback win, and that they actually won a game with offense.
Yeah, I would say this, and Rod, asking you this question. The thing about that comeback against Mississippi State, while Arch was a focal point of it, tremendous deep ball throw, a couple of really key conversions, he wasn't the only part of it that succeeded on offense, right? Mm-hmm. The offensive line blocked better. The receivers got open more. Mm-hmm. And so to Gerry's point, it was more of a holistic comeback. The defense, when called upon, had to get multiple stops to get them back in the game and did so. Special teams came through. What Gerry's describing from his conversation is a team that's growing in confidence. But now that you have Arch coming back for sure, or at least it seems that way, does it change the calculus at all for you?
It does. For me, it changes it a little bit because ultimately, offensively, he is, he's the catalyst, right? Offensively, and I'm not saying Matthew Caldwell couldn't have come in and operate the offense and executed really well, but he's the catalyst. They don't have much of a running game, right? They're only averaging 76 rushing yards in SEC play, guys. That's the bottom of the SEC pretty much. So they don't really have much of a running game. Arch is a lot of the running game, plus with the +1, the running game and the scramble drill. So I think a lot of that faith and belief that, Gerry's talking about the team has now in themselves and their ability, right, to go out and win games in different ways, it is tied to Arch and what they've seen him do in the last 3 games. So I think ultimately for me, if Arch is going to play, I mean, I think it gives this team the kind of ultimate confidence to put them over the top. That game versus Mississippi State was one of the closest examples we've seen this season of the Sark run I always talk about. Remember last year, the Sark run was almost, synonymous with Texas wins. They'd have a run at some point in the game and all 3 phases would contribute and Texas would be able to separate from opponents in that way. We hadn't had that this year from Texas. Hadn't really had a lot of those Sark runs. Last game versus, and maybe in Oklahoma game you had some of that, but in the last game with Mississippi State you did. That was the reason you came back and won. Was able to be able to execute a 17-point comeback is because it was basically a Sark run. Offense, defense, and special teams all contributing to Texas being able to come back from more than 2 touchdowns down. So I think they have belief that they can win in a number of different ways, and I think that may be the magic formula, if you will, the 11 herbs and spices for this team.
You talk Kentucky Fried Chicken reference there.
Oh yeah, that's
I gotta give it to you. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. The thought here, and I know I picked this game 22-20 Texas. And I've just had this sneaky suspicion that Texas is due for another close win. Maybe because it's at home and we do expect a big turnout today. Maybe because they're finally just figuring out who they are a little bit as a team. Arch, you mentioned something, Rod. He is your +1 in the run game.
Mm-hmm.
We thought Matthew Caldwell might be that guy. I don't think Arch is going to be a +1 in the run game today.
That's true.
And so by him starting, you wonder what all that looks like. I mean, interesting. You guys both pick Texas to win as well. We'll talk a little bit more about Texas and give our final thoughts on that at the end of the show. But first, we need to get into SEC conference play and tell folks about our sponsor. Tito's Handmade Vodka is a proud sponsor of the Texas Longhorns, as well as On Texas Football. Distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly. We'll have some of that at our tailgate here in a couple of hours for you guys that want to stop by that. Again, Tito's Handmade Vodka, proud sponsor of your Texas Longhorns. All right, guys, we've got a good slate of games in the SEC. Texas, of course, is the 11 o'clock game on ABC this morning. Then 2:30. It's the world's largest cocktail party in Jacksonville. Georgia plays Florida. Georgia, this is surprising to me, only a 7.5-point favorite in this game, while Florida doesn't have a head coach. I guess Billy Gonzalez is the interim. Rod, what do you think of this game?
If Florida can run the ball, they can make it interesting. That's why I'm not sure if they're going to be able to run the ball on Georgia. Georgia's had some issues this year, especially creating a pass rush or generating a pass rush, and even in pass defense. But their run defense is still pretty solid. Run defense is still you talk about it. They're still one of the better run defenses in the SEC, and they don't allow a lot of yards after contact. They don't miss a lot of tackles. So they're pretty sound there. 5th fewest missed tackles versus the run in 2025 for Georgia. That's big in this game because Florida and Jaden Baugh is really the straw that stirs the drink. That's why Texas couldn't handle Florida, because Jaden Baugh went off. When he rushes for over 100 yards, I mean, they're undefeated. They rush for at least 100 yards. That's when they are at their best. So I think that's where the key lies. I don't think they'll be able to do that on Georgia. I think they'll try to put this game in Lagway's hands. And if it's in Lagway's hands, ultimately, I think Georgia will be able to force enough negative plays and force him into making some ill-advised throws. So I got Georgia winning this thing. I don't see how even Florida keeps it close. I think Georgia pulls away late.
That's what I was going to say. The line seems tight.
Yep.
Jerry, is there reason for that beyond just Jaden Baugh?
Yeah, I think, look, it's a rivalry game, and even some bad Florida teams or a bad Georgia team at times have kept this thing close. Last year was 34-20, and Lagway got hurt and had to go to Aiden Warner in that game. So, look, they still ran the ball effectively on Georgia last year. My problem at the beginning of the week, I had Florida taking this game to the fourth quarter. But when the injury report came out, Vernell Brown's out. And he's really good.
That's the receiver.
The freshman receiver.
Yeah.
Their leading receiver's out. And their number 4 receiver, Aiden Mizell, is out. So what are they going to have? I mean, so now they're down their leading receiver and 2 of their top 4 for Georgia. Look, one of the things I'll say about Kirby, he has this offense right where he wants it. They've ran it 296 times and thrown it 216 this year. Yeah. That means their physical downhill attack is where they want it. And their quarterback is not turning it over. 1 interception this year. I think at this point last year, Carson Beck had double digits. So I do, because of the wide receiver injuries, I'm going to change from where I was earlier in the week. I do think Georgia will pull away in the second half of this game, win by 14-17.
All right. That is the 2:30 game on ABC, by the way. I mentioned we start the day with Vandy, Texas, at 11 o'clock this morning, and then Georgia, Florida at 2:30. Last game of the night on ABC is OU going to Tennessee. The Volunteers now talk about close point spreads.
Mm-hmm.
What if I told you OU is only a 2.5-point underdog away against Tennessee? Well, I mean, people have a lot of faith in this Oklahoma defense, and it's just interesting to me that OU, after really looking bad against Ole Miss for much of the day, can only be 2.5-point underdogs against a Tennessee team that, I mean, frankly, they have a straight line to the college football playoffs right now if they get past the Sooners and can get past Vandy. What do y'all think, Jerry?
Yeah, I guess one of the things here is Tennessee is just not very good on defense. And I think that factors in big here is, if you look at 26, Syracuse scored 26 on them. Georgia, I mean, that's an overtime game, and Tennessee missed a field goal, 44-41. UAB fired their coach. They scored 24. Mississippi State scored 34 and lost in overtime in Starkville. Arkansas scored 31. That's a 3-point game. Alabama scored 37. Kentucky scored 34 last week in a 56-34 loss. So Tennessee has enough defensive issues, I think, that it affects what people are thinking about this game. Here's where it comes down to, and I'm taking Tennessee to win the game at home because I think they're going to score the ball enough in this game. Here's the key for me for Oklahoma actually keeping this close and being in it in the fourth quarter like the line suggests they would. Has Oklahoma found enough in their run game with their running backs? They ran it a little better since Texas game, or is Texas just that good? We'll find out. But I think Oklahoma may be able to possess the ball and move the ball enough on Tennessee because everybody else has to keep it close. But I still like Tennessee to cover the number.
105,000 people going to be yelling and screaming in Knoxville at night too. That could affect it. What do you think, Rod? OU, Tennessee. Vols giving up 2.5 points here in this one.
Yeah, I think Jerry's right. Tennessee can just turn it into a shootout, even though, I mean, this is the Oklahoma defense is one of the best in the country. But to me, John Mateer's been one of the worst stretches of his career, arguably maybe the worst stretch of his career. Actually, Texas kind of started this stretch after that injury of his. And I don't know if Oklahoma can score enough. If you go look at Oklahoma's only scored in talking about SEC play here, they haven't topped 26 points.
No.
Hell, the Vols haven't allowed fewer than 31 points in league play, so they'll give it up. But I don't know if the Sooners can score enough in the end. So this is a great opportunity for John Mateer to break out of his funk. But I'm with Jerry. I think Tennessee's got the pass rush because they're top 10 in sacks per game, and they also have the offense that can just put the foot to the throttle, and they really can just, I think, boat race Oklahoma offensively. And they'll end up scoring enough points to win the game.
Tennessee likes that offense with Josh Heupel, and this is obviously a big game for him. Being a former OU quarterback as well as an offensive coordinator under Bob Stoops. Big game for him. He's had it circled. I don't know that Oklahoma has had this game circled. And so maybe there's a little bit of that there for me. But, Venables put up a fight last year against Tennessee in Norman, and OU didn't have a quarterback for anything. Yeah. And Tennessee had Nico Iamaleava and barely came out a win. I'm going to go. I tell you what, I know who I'm rooting for theoretically, but I think there's a reason OU's only a 2.5-point underdog here.
Okay.
As long as Mateer doesn't throw it to the other team, I think OU has a chance because of that. I mean, look, OU coached somebody under 20. How much? I think Ole Miss's offense is better than Tennessee's, for example. Personal opinion. Okay. They get off the field one more time against Tennessee, they may score 24-31. To your point, Rod and Jerry. So we'll see. That's where I see that game going. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Mississippi State, Arkansas. It's the 3:00 game on the SEC network. Not a great game by any stretch. Texas just played Mississippi State. This game is at Arkansas. The reason I wanted to mention it to you guys is because Texas plays Arkansas in 3 weeks, right? And it's one of the final games of the season. Arkansas favored by 4.5 at home. But Jerry, in the pre-discussion before this, you said the over/under of this game is 65 points. That is a lot of points in a game like this. For example, Texas, by comparison, is only a 47-point over/under. Mississippi State, Arkansas, 65 points. What do you think of this one, Jerry?
Well, that's what happens. That's why the line is that high. The over/under is that high. That's what happens when Auburn scores 33 in Fayetteville. That's going to raise the line, baby. I mean, when Auburn goes for 380 yards on you with the turnover and wins 33-24, that number's going up because Auburn hadn't done that to anybody. I don't even know who to pick in this game. I almost feel bad for Mississippi State, and I know Arkansas's had close games too, but Mississippi State just a heartbreaks at home, Tennessee and Texas. And they've been in every game except at A&M. And they were good enough to beat Arizona State, which, hey, everything runs through Lubbock except that. So even Texas Tech couldn't beat Arizona State. I'm going to go Bobby Petrino in this. I think it's, because both teams are 0-4 in the SEC, right? And
Crazy.
I'm going to go with Rod. Like Taylon Green is the best player on a bad team we got going in this conference. I'm going to go with Taylon Green and Arkansas to win this thing. But do I have any confidence in picking anything in this game? No, because these teams have found ways to lose games. That's the problem with this game.
Yep. Rod, what do you think?
No, he's right. I mean, other than that Notre Dame game, that's the game that just Arkansas got boat raced in, but they've kind of been close to it, and they're their own worst enemy. Taylor Green is exciting to watch, though, man. I'm telling you. And that Arkansas offense, I see why that number, what did you say, over under 60 something?
65 and a half.
Their defense is so bad, their offense is so damn good. So it makes sense. I would take Arkansas in a shootout because, like I said, I still can't believe Jeff Levy kicked to Ryan Nibley. I still can't believe he did. They can't believe the game on the line. He kicked to Ryan Nibley. Like, what are you doing? Have you watched film the last 2 weeks on this guy? Anyways, I'll take Arkansas to win it just because either way, it's kind of a coin toss between these two teams. I'm with Jerry on that one.
We'll see if I think the issue of playing away from home for Jeff Levy and his offense is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of offense seems to play better at home. Always has. Even Baylor was that way, right? Whenever that offense where it requires a lot of communication among the receivers and the line of scrimmage, et cetera. I'm going to go with Arkansas and Bobby Petrino and keep Jeff Levy's streak of being winless in the SEC alive. All right, other games in the SEC just quickly. South Carolina goes to Ole Miss. Ole Miss an 11.5-point favorite. South Carolina almost pulled the upset last week at home against Alabama. We'll see if they have something left in the tank for the Rebels. That's the 6:00 game on ESPN. Kentucky plays Auburn. Two really teams that are going to have problems. Kentucky goes to Auburn, by the way. That's the 6:30 game on the SEC network. Again, Auburn favored by 10.5 points. All right, before we go to a couple of national games and finish up with a little bit more on Texas versus Vanderbilt, I want to say thanks again to Tito's Handmade Vodka, proud sponsor of the Texas Longhorns, as well as On Texas Football, distilled and bottled by Fifth Generation Inc., Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly. Again, that is Tito's Handmade Vodka, proud sponsor of the Longhorns and On Texas Football. And by the way, there will be some Tito's at the tailgate here in a little bit. So come on out and join us if you would. All right, other news and notes. There are other games. Penn State, Ohio State. This is the game on Fox opposite Texas.
Wow.
Now, preseason, this game was 2.5 for Ohio State favored. Today, Ohio State is favored by 18.5.
Ooh,
that's a big change. Ohio State is 7-0, ranked number 1 in the country. Penn State is 3-4. That's why James Franklin's looking for a new gig.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about this one? Is this a trap game maybe for Ohio State? Jerry, you're saying no?
No, I mean, look, the crazy thing about Penn State, their 4 losses are combined by 13 points. They've had 2 1-point losses in a row.
So you don't think it's a trap game, or you do?
No, I don't. I'm saying I'm teeing this all up to say they're going to get their butt kicked. Ohio State's going to roll in and kick their ass. But Penn State is, man, that's tough when 4 losses by a combined 13 points. They've been right there in every game, whether Franklin was the head coach or not. But by the way, and here's the reason that Ryan Day will score the extra tutty, because Jim Knowles is on the other sideline.
That's
Oh,
where I
the
was
defense
going.
coordinator.
That's where I was going, Joe. I was like, oh no, it's someone on the
Sorry,
line.
Rod, pile on. Go ahead.
No. I agree with you, though. I'm with you, Jerry. I think you hit the nail on the head. That's why it means a little bit more to Ohio State right now. Players and coaches, because Jim knows he decided to abandon ship.
Yep.
He's got to pay the price for that. So I think they're going after him. I'm with you, Jerry. They go
That
right,
Ohio
they going
State,
he knows how that system works too. Yeah.
that Ohio State defense has been better under Matt Patricia than it has been
Yes.
under Jim Knowles. I mean, they're allowing something like 5.9 points per game right now. Something insane in Columbus, Ohio.
Here's
Again,
the question
18 and a half
with
point
that game. Here's the question for y'all with that game. That number's 18.5. Does Ohio State cover it?
I don't know. I truthfully don't know. I want to see, Ohio State, I think, can be got in the run game a little bit, and Penn State can run the ball. But by the way, regardless of that, I think that you mentioned those close games. When a coach still gets fired, even though they're close games like that, it means he's just run out of fans at his university. It's very similar to how Tom Herman. It just got stale, and people were tired of the close loss excuses. Winning is hard. That's what happened to James Franklin in Happy Valley. By the way, so all right, Miami SMU. Miami goes to the Hilltop, right? 10.5 point favorites. Miami loses this though, and all of a sudden they got 2 losses. What are y'all's thoughts on Miami versus SMU in this game? Rod, start with you.
Miami, I think it's just too good in the trenches on both sides of the ball. I like the D line from SMU, but I think ultimately the trenches for Miami on the offensive side and on the defensive side, that's what wins them the game. They got better trenches, some of the best in college football, honestly, both sides.
They do. Okay, here's a crazy stat about a guy that was once considered a potential 1-1 guy. In the last 17 games, this is G5, P5. This dates back to Georgia last year, starting at the Alabama game. In the last 17 games, how many interceptions has Carson Beck thrown?
Oh, that's good.
17?
19 over an interception a game on average.
Wow.
That dog does not hunt on the road unless you have great talent around them. And they do. But this guy is a turnover machine in the truest sense of the word.
Wow.
If SMU can generate any pressure, cheerleaders are going to be taking him back to the house.
Big six. Oh boy. All right. Hey, Utah, Cincinnati. This game is College Game Day's choice over Texas Vanderbilt. I don't agree with them. But I digress. Utah, Cincinnati at Utah. Cincinnati 7-1, ranked 17th in the country. Utah 24th in the country. Make this make sense. The Utes are 10.5 point favorites.
10.
Now I want to 10.5. Now I want to add this. This game starts at 9:15 tonight. Whew. I mean, you're going to be staying up late to watch the Big 12. Hey, Brett Moore, your mark. More power to you, baby. Jerry, what do you think?
This has got Cincinnati has the best quarterback in college football in terms of the season he's having that nobody's talking about. Brendan Sorsby, a low 3-star recruit out of Lake Dallas High, signed with Indiana, stayed there 2 years. Then they had the coaching change. He transfers to Cincinnati, and he is having a unbelievable season. He is completing 65.5% of his passes, but 1,843 yards, 20 touchdowns and 1 interception, plus 425 on the ground and 7 TDs. He's a big dude that can move, 6'3", 235, and he has become a difference maker in college football and is the reason that Cincinnati is where they're at, obviously. I know that's a big number, and it kind of speaks to what Rod was talking about with Miami. Utah's got that big offensive line. They have a quarterback that can run. They're a physical team. And maybe Cincinnati's just going to need the oxygen mask in this game. But I got a feeling that Cincinnati is going to win this game. Their only loss was at Nebraska, so people are looking at that. But I think Sorsby has a lot of confidence. I think Evan Pryor, their starting running back, is an Ohio State transfer. Their leading receiver, Cyrus Allen, that guy is a really good player. He is a A&M transfer. He was at Louisiana Tech, then A&M last year, now at Cincinnati. He's having a good year for those guys. They have some really good transfers on that team. I'm going with Cincinnati and an outright win, not just to cover the number here. There may be something about Brendan Sorsby that we're all missing, and I'll probably look like an idiot because Utah will just ground and pound them, but I'm going with Cincinnati.
I like it.
Rob, what do you think?
No, I like. I'm with Gerry on the quarterback potentially being the difference here for Cincinnati. But I'll take Utah. I'll go on the other side of it because Utah does a great job of basically slowing the game down, eating away at the clock, taking possessions away from the other team. But Jerry's right about the QB. So it'll be the real deal.
You know what you just described? It's very interesting to me. You just described a little bit of what we think of what Clark Lee does for his team at Vanderbilt. He kind of eats the clock a little bit, and Whittingham has done that for years at Utah and successfully, and he's a defense-first coach, exactly like Clark Lee, defensive coach first. So he kind of leans into that defense a little bit. Guys, as we circle back to the Texas game, Arch Manning likely to go. We think Cole Hudson could play guard in this game. He's available. Connor Robertson will stick at center. We're waiting to see if we hear more on Michael Taft. You know, as you think about this game, you know, we can all talk about contain Diego Pavia and all this other stuff. Don't we have to see something from the Texas offense that gets them going early? Like, I would love to see a game where Texas jumps out in front as opposed to Texas plays from behind. And I don't know how we see that or what we see, but maybe to Jerry's point, the momentum carries over. They've had a good week of practice, et cetera. I feel like Texas has to make Vanderbilt and their offense a little uncomfortable.
Yep.
They can't just let them run Diego Pavia, play action, and move the ball down. Texas has to somehow find a way to make them uncomfortable. Jerry, what do you think? Final thoughts here?
Yeah, look, Arch is up against it in one regard this week. You know, he hasn't put two quality back-to-back games together this season. And it really was the fourth quarter last week, but, you know, it's been up and down the whole way through the season. You know, Ohio State down, San Jose State up, but they're not very good. UTEP was his worst game of his career. Sam Houston State's terrible, maybe the worst team in D1, but he had a really good game. Florida, not so good. Oklahoma showed signs of life. Kentucky, second worst performance to UTEP this season. Then he came back and had 346 yards, career high, 3 touchdowns, 29 of 46 against Mississippi State. A lot of that damage late. But he hasn't put two back-to-back good games in a row together this season. And we're asking him to do that coming out of protocol. So that's going to be interesting for me. And that's something he needs in his career. He needs to start stringing some consistent, strong performances together. And he's going to have to do it. He's going to have to do it in a few hours for me. I mean, I think Cedric Baxter, I actually think Texas is going to run the football better than they have this year. I just think they're going to run it better with CJ Baxter against Vanderbilt today. But can Arch Manning string 2 games in a row together where you say, okay, this is trending in the right direction? Or does it go back to the up and down, the roller coaster? We're going to find out because he needs to play well today. And we're asking a lot coming out of protocol. I know he took reps this week, but he can't change the way he plays. That's a big thing for me. He cannot change the way he plays today.
What do you think, Rod?
Well, he's going to have to change a little bit of it, right? Because, like you said, Bobby, he can't be the main catalyst in the run game for you, +1. If he's coming out of concussion protocol, that would be ill-advised. So I am interested to see, Jerry. You're right. I think Texas got to get off to a faster start. You talked about this, Bobby. Playing with a lead would mean so much. I always said defense is playing with a lead is like going out with money in your pocket. You ever went out when you were broke and the day after you got paid, you're talking to women, you're buying drinks, you're the belle of the ball, right? So it's a confidence factor there. I think playing with a lead defensively gives you that kind of confidence. So I wouldn't be surprised if defensively they come out, or offense, they come out aggressive, trying to get that lead you talk about. Because part of what makes, I think, Vanderbilt a little bit uncomfortable, if you make them play with an element of desperation. They don't play with desperation because they never have to. They control the game. They control the clock. So I want to say maybe Texas gets off to a faster start. Could be through the passing game like they did last week with a big chunk yardage play in the passing game. Maybe it's on defense. Maybe you're a little bit more aggressive defensively early on. Maybe you're stacking that box early on and daring Diego Pavia to throw the one-on-one coverage on the outside. I'm with you. You got to take them out of their comfort zone, and you got to get them off schedule somehow offensively. And I think defensively, it may be the way you have to do it here. You might have to lead with your defense and maybe be a little bit aggressive, not necessarily blitzing Pavia, but in the way that you're going to play this Vanderbilt offense. Maybe, like I said, giving them a problematic look, like stacking the box on them on early downs and forcing them to go to the pass early on rather than the run.
Yeah, I think taking away the running backs is huge today for Texas defense. Pavia hasn't had a 200-yard passing game in the SEC.
Exactly. Make them pass it. Let them
That's
pass
been like 165 passing per game
it.
in SEC play. He didn't even get 200 on South Carolina.
Dude, I'd let him pass. I'd be like, come on, let's see if you can beat me passing the ball. Let's see if Pavia can beat you as a pocket passer, because I don't think he can.
Yeah, Texas needs to compress that pocket. Look for a big game maybe from Alex January, Murad Watson. Those guys could be huge today. All right, look, a little bit later, a couple hours from now, we're going to be coming back to you with the Texas Tailgate. We've got that at 9 a.m. Watch with us at 11. Gerry and Rod, you guys will both be on that. And then, Rod, you and I doing the post-game live immediately following the game. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a Longhorn victory. Again, thank you to our sponsor of the Saturday Conversation. That is Tito's Handmade Vodka, proud sponsor of your Texas Longhorns and on Texas football. Guys, we'll talk to you again here in a few minutes. For Rod Babers and Gerry Hamilton, this has been the Saturday Conversation. Thanks to our producer, Matt Hudson. Welcome, Horns.